can be alleged, but it has to be proven. Malum in se is a concept long viewed as appropriate in law, that there's some things that are so fundamentally evil that they have to be protected against. Now, I think, and your answer below, I'm going to give you a chance to say, if you stay by it, if the president decides that his rival is a corrupt person and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him, is that within his official acts that for which he can get immunity?
It would depend on the hypothetical, but we can see that could well be an official act.
It could, and why? Because he's doing it for personal reasons. He's not doing it like President Obama is alleged to have done it, to protect the country from a terrorist. He's doing it for personal gain. And isn't that the nature of the allegations here? That he's not doing these acts in furtherance of an official responsibility. He's doing it for personal gain.
I agree with that characterization of the indictment, and that confirms immunity, because the characterization is that there's a series of official acts that were done for an unlawful.
No, because immunity says even if you did it for personal gain, we won't hold you responsible. How could that be?
That's an extremely strong doctrine in this court's case law in cases like Fitzgerald.
Well, we go back to Justice Thomas's question, which.
So as the Supreme Court hearing gets underway, Clarence Thomas, there are some people outside the court, there is one thing which does strike me. The Trump family live in this delusional world where they think it's a non-stop reality show. They film themselves doing everything. Just want to put that out there. Most of us are looking upon what's happening in the Supreme Court as a really serious, just line in the history of the Constitution of America. But for the Trumps, it's just another piece of content, something else for them to talk about. Jamie Raskin has had something interesting to say on the whole subject.
That he committed as president, and he says that those acts that he was doing on January 6th were related to his job as president. I'm sure you reject that. But what about the larger issue of presidential immunity? Do you think there is nuance there?
The core part of the president's job under Article 2 of the Constitution is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, including the laws relating to the presidential election and the Electoral College. So the idea that he was undertaking his constitutional responsibilities when he levied a mob to come and attack the U.S. Capitol, when he tried to get his own vice president to step outside of his constitutional role and just declare Trump president, is outrageous. So like the district court found, like the D.C. Circuit panel found, his claims are just utterly frivolous. They're just empty. It's not the president's job to try to overthrow the constitutional order. It's his job to enforce every provision of the Constitution, including one that would have him leave because he lost a presidential election by more than 7 million votes, 306 to 232 in the Electoral College. So I think it's farcical that we are where we are. The guy's appellate adjudications are now interfering with his criminal trials because he's basically bringing the whole system crashing down by his anarchical determination to violate every law and constitutional principle we've got.
And as the hearing is continuing, there are people outside who, well, perhaps they should be listening to the arguments. You can just tell they've perhaps, overdosed on Fox.
Been there almost every day. Yep. We invite everybody who's in town, stop by and join our group of Trump supporters and be a part of history.
Amen. Don't
just sit back and watch this like a voyeur.
Yeah.
Trump needs our help. And without our help, I don't want to think about it.
Could President Biden someday be charged with unlawfully inducing immigrants to enter the country illegally for his border policies? The answer to all these questions is no. Prosecuting the president for his official acts is an innovation with no foothold in history or tradition, and incompatible with our constitutional structure.
Well, we have a big case today. This judge isn't allowing me to go. We have a big case today in the Supreme Court on presidential immunity. A president has to have immunity. If you don't have immunity, you just have a ceremonial president. You won't have a.
Do you know about the payments?
So we have a big. The Supreme Court has a very important argument before it today. I would have loved to have been there, but this judge would not allow that to happen. I should be there, but he wouldn't allow it to happen. I think he puts himself above the Supreme Court, which is unfortunate, isn't it? But the argument on immunity is very important. The president has to have immunity. This has nothing to do with me. This has to do with a president in the future, for 100 years from now. If you don't have immunity, you're not going to do anything. You're going to become a ceremonial president. You're just going to be doing nothing. You're not going to take any of the risks, both good and bad. I mean, you're going to make some great decisions and save the country, and you're going to make some decisions which are unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But you're not going to do anything if you don't have immunity, because otherwise you're going to be prosecuted after you leave office for doing something like going into an area, going into a country, doing lots of things that you wouldn't be doing. And we don't want a ceremonial president. We have to have a real president. And assuming you have the right person, that can make a big difference. You saw that for 4 years.
Electors, in coordination with the chair of a major political party, involve official acts of a president. That sounds like a good place to begin tomorrow, Andrew.
It does. We tried to, I wrote this with Professor Goodman at NYU, wonderful, brilliant man, so he should really take the lion's share of the credit for this. But we divided it into two buckets. The one that you read relates to the substance, and let's just get real. There is no substance to the claim here. If the Supreme Court were to decide that a president has absolute immunity, we can all pack up and go home. We will not live in a democracy. We may have the illusion that we're in a democracy, but we will not be in one. It is all about the fact that there is a stay in place right now that the Supreme Court has the ability to lift tomorrow. They can hear argument, and they are capable of saying, you know what, opinion to follow, but we're lifting the stay so the district court can go on her business. And there's every reason to do that, because one of the questions we ask is to pose to Donald Trump's lawyers the following. You say that you are immune from criminal prosecution, and you say that this criminal prosecution is something that is a